Hello and welcome to another episode of 177 Nations of Tasmania. So what do you think of when you hear the name Finland? Perhaps you think of a far-off northern land of dark forests and lakes, of snow and Santa Claus. But Finland is of course the home of the sauna, the mobile phone and angry birds. And of course it's also well known for its world-class education system. So what is a person from this interesting, innovative country doing so far away from home in Tasmania? So I'm here with Anna to find out all about that.
I was born in Helsinki, in the capital city, but before I started school we moved to a really rural place. It's 1 hour from Helsinki, so still in southern Finland. But my school, for example, in my class we had only 4 people.
All right.
Yeah, so it was a very small place to grow up. And my closest neighbor was 1 kilometer away from our house.
Wow. So what was it like to be at a school with so few students?
It was good. I mean, the whole school had maybe 21 students at the time for the 6th grades. So we did lots of things together. Maybe academically it wasn't the best because if it was a nice day, we just spent the whole day outside playing and it was quite a free environment in that sense. But it was really good, and it was nice that everybody was looking after each other and everybody was playing together, even the small and the big.
I get the impression that in the Nordic countries, community is quite important.
That's funny that you say it, because I would say that here I have more sense of community.
Okay.
I mean, obviously there you have your own groups. I mean, yes, you have your the place that you live, you do things together and all that. But I would say that here between the neighbors we have much more in common here than in Finland. In Finland, the Finnish people maybe, at least like stereotypically, tend to keep to themselves and not really, especially in the cities, so that you don't probably even know your neighbors.
I know I've heard the stereotype of Finns is they're quite quiet, yes, and introverted, yes, even compared to other Scandinavian.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. And do you think that's to do with the climate and the nature of the country?
Yeah, maybe you can see the winter is very dark and long and cold. The coldness doesn't bother me, but it's very dark, so you don't want to really do much things at that time. And then you can see when it's getting spring and summer and you see the light again and people are starting to cheer up. Yeah. So you see a big difference.
So when you were a sort of a child at school, what did people do at that time of year?
I had lots of hobbies, really. I was playing lots of violin and clarinet and all the other things. I was quite active in those things. And then at home we just played outside, because it's really nice when it's real winter, and when there is snow, there is lots to do outside too. So it's only the autumn and spring that are a bit more difficult. And I was always outside, I think.
Yeah, because I get the impression that in the northern countries that in the winter people do spend a lot more time outside than we do. Here in winter the attitude is everyone just stays inside, even though our winter's nowhere near as cold.
Yeah, it's not about the coldness, I guess. The cold is fine, you just have to put more clothes.
Yeah.
I guess it's more like when it's wet and slippery and dangerous because of that. That's the worst time of the year. But also in Finland, all the kids, like even in the daycare, they have to have these really good overalls for the wet. So they just put that on and they go outside anyway. They go every day outside. And in school too, like the classes in school, they are 45 minutes and then you have 15 minutes break. And you need to go outside every time, no matter the weather. I think there is the limit, like if it's minus 25, then you don't need to go outside. But otherwise, always. You know, I was once it was snowing so much that we couldn't open our front door. Yeah. And I got to school late because of that. And my teacher was like, that's not an excuse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty hard. Yeah. Were you at that small school for all your school?
No. Obviously then financially they thought that was not a really good idea to have that small school. So they closed it and we moved to a next school that was a bit bigger. So it had 60 students for the whole 6th grade. Mm-hmm. So then I had more like 15 classmates, which was nice because I also had some girls then in my class.
So what was your experience like going to school in?
I think, now my son is here in school and I think they're doing lots of good things there. So I don't really know how to compare because they are different systems. But I think what's good in Finland is that all the teachers, they have masters in education, and it's really hard to get into those universities to become a teacher. So they are really selected already at that point. So even like you can be anywhere in remote area and you have equally good school that you have in the center of Helsinki. So it doesn't matter where you live, you should have the same standards for the school. Like here I have noticed that people are really shopping with the schools, and there are private schools and public schools. In Finland we don't really have private schools, so everybody goes to the same. It doesn't matter who you are, you go to the nearest school. I think in Finland they try to more emphasize the own thinking and the development of your own ability of like deduct things or apply.
Okay.
It's not that much like remembering things that the teacher says, but it's more like researching yourself and finding out. And like even when I was in school, that was a long time ago, but even then it started that we had to make like lots of research by ourselves and presentations and not presentations like in here. I would say like a research papers kind of things.
Yeah, so there was a focus on independent learning and
yes, and you have to take your own responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the teacher if you don't learn. It's and not your parents. You. I think the independence, it's quite, I don't know if probably it's a cultural thing that in Finland we really appreciate the independence from the young age, and maybe in some cases even too much, but it's like the school starts late, so when you are 7 you go to school, not before, but then you are expected to walk yourself to the school, you're expected to come back from school yourself and spend the day by yourself or with your friends or whatever you want until your parents come back home. So it's not like here that the parents need to go there and pick up. I guess that teaches you also to take care of yourself.
In winter, for example, you kind of have to get through the snow.
Yeah, I mean, the cars have already cleaned everything, but you just walk.
But I mean, you're not reliant on your parents to...
No. And actually, I think it's discouraged so that the parents are not supposed to go to get the kids from the school because it's dangerous for those kids who are walking, because if there are too many cars, then it's not good.
Yeah, right.
So it's like a safety issue as well. And I think there was a study, maybe in Sweden, that those kids who had to walk themselves to the school did better in school because they were already like more awake and more independent or something. So it's also like, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
If it's safe, of course.
So when you were, like, for example, at high school, getting a bit older, did you have any sort of idea of what you wanted to do in the future?
I went to high school in Helsinki, back to Helsinki, because at that time, as all the teenagers, they want to go from there because I was living in a really small place. So I wanted to go somewhere else. So I went to Helsinki to a high school that was emphasis in music. And maybe when I started the high school, I was thinking that, I love music and that's the only thing I care. So maybe a career, but then I had a really good mathematics teacher in the high school. So then I got into mathematics and physics. And then I decided to become an engineer.
Well, kind of mathematics and music are often connected, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I think because from my class, everybody was either a musician or a dancer, and most of them started their career as an engineer or a scientist or something. So, of those who didn't become a professional musicians, of course.
And what kind of engineering did you study?
Physics.
Oh, but I mean, what area of engineering?
So it was called technical physics and mathematics.
But then what profession does that lead to?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, in Finland, then when before graduating already, I started working at the Technical Research Center of Finland. And I started working with fire modeling. So structural fire modeling and simulations.
So fire in what sense? Because if you say fire, here people will think of bushfires.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said structural. So more like buildings and materials.
Okay, how fire affects them.
Like calculate the mathematical parts come from the simulation. So like how we can model different materials so that we can simulate them in the larger scale and see how they progress or.
Okay, so how they burn and where the fire is likely to go.
For example, yeah, and then you can of course add like how I could suppress this fire or something.
Yeah. And did you end up working in that area in Finland?
Yes, I worked over 10 years at that research center in Finland, yes, before moving here.
You mentioned music.
Yeah.
And I know you're still involved in music. So how did you keep up your music at the same time as you were studying?
Yes, I'm not a professional, far from it, but
Yep.
I joined the student orchestra. That was the symphonic orchestra of the Technical University of Helsinki at that time. And it was really good because it was fun because there were lots of like people of my age and in the same situation and studying also engineering, but it was really good. I think the level was really high, so I had to like keep up with that. So it was really good for me and I enjoyed it a lot. And then at the same time, because I said that I come from this small place in Finland, but that village had a really, really active cultural life as well, surprisingly active. So there I had also lots of opportunities. Like I have been playing in different bands and different things so much that it's really great. I was able to continue that.
Because from what I understand, or the little I know about Finland, is that there is a really strong musical tradition, especially with singing.
I mean, yeah, everybody sings in the choirs, I think, from young age to old age. Yeah, every village has a choir, I guess.
You said that each village sort of has their own choir. So how does that, like what do they do? How does that affect the culture of the village? Is it sort of a central thing, or is it just something that people do as a kind of a hobby? Yeah,
it's a hobby. And there are many of those. Maybe I shouldn't say that each village has their own choir because they can have many, like they can have the old men choir and then they can have the kids choir and then they can have the church choir. So there are many different groups. So it's not like one big thing that everybody joins, but it's more like whatever you prefer. And then I was just now thinking that also many villages or towns in Finland, they have also this thing called summer theaters. That is like all this, I never joined, but it's quite fun tradition because there are like all these people who just love doing like musicals or whatever. They are not professionals at all, but they just get up and then they make this play that is shown during the summer, and then there is lots of music and it's fun. I mean, it's like, I don't know what are the standards, but it's fun because you know all the people who are there and it's fun to go to see. I still go to see it sometimes.
Coming from a small town, small place to Helsinki, was it difficult to make the transition? Was there kind of a bit of a culture shock, or is it fairly smooth?
I mean, it's not that far away. The place that I lived, it was just 1 hour away, so we had been visiting many times, and also my grandma lived in Helsinki, so we had been a lot. And then, a bit. Maybe I was really scared for the cars. We didn't have any traffic lights in my town, so that was a new thing for me, But yeah, it was fun. I mean, when you are 16, you think that the world is... In my town, everybody knew each other and you would know who is his father and who is his brother or whatever. So, like, people are maybe looking after you. In Helsinki, nobody knows you and nobody cares. But on the other hand, it was nice too, because I could reinvent myself too.
Why did you come to Tasmania?
The first time we came to Tasmania for holidays. My mom lives in Queensland, so we came to visit her and we were traveling around Australia for a month. And then as part of that tour, we also came to Tasmania for 1 week. And when we came here, we thought like, oh wow, this place is really beautiful and this looks like a place that we could live. But we didn't have any plans at that moment. And then a year later, my husband was offered a job out of a blue in Tasmania, and we said like, let's do it.
What was the job that your husband got?
He's working at the university in the physics department. He's now a half-time lecturer, half-time researcher. So I was just here for 5 days for holidays. So obviously I just saw just a beautiful landscape and a couple of main attractions. But I like the feeling of Hobart. I thought that that's a good size of a city. Not too big, not too small. Obviously, when you come for holidays, you don't see the traffic jams or or other things. But yeah, it was good. We enjoyed, and we met the people we met. We didn't meet that much people, but everybody was super nice, and we felt like this is a good place.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we moved here, the first thing I guess I noticed that people are really, really nice. So that didn't change. It was really easy to get involved in things. Like just 2 weeks maybe after I moved here, somebody invited me to play in the orchestra. Mm-hmm. I didn't have my violin here, so they just arranged it to me. And I was like, be there at that time. I was like, okay, I'll be there. Yeah. And that's like really nice how the things work out sometimes. Here, I think in Finland, people are more like stuck to their own ways. Like they are not as flexible as here, probably. Then the other side of the same coin probably is that it was really difficult to find some kind of house that would be insulated, and it was difficult to get the internet working in our house, because no matter how many times we called, they always got it wrong. Like little things that maybe in Finland would then work with the press of a button.
Yep.
And here you had to call like 10 times. We started to meet people, and it was really nice. I remember like maybe we had been here a couple of weeks, and we went to the market, and I already knew people there.
Yeah.
Like, what? How is this possible? Once we went hiking just one day, and we bumped into this one family, and we just exchanged a couple of words, just saying like, where are you from? I'm from Finland. They were from Slovenia. And the very next day, that same lady came to my orchestra rehearsal as a singer. So I was like, okay, hello.
Wow.
And now we are friends. So it's really funny how you meet people.
Yeah, well, I guess that's a good aspect of...
Yeah, it is. Yes, I like it.
Yeah. If you've lived here for a longer time, though, it can be a bit... can sometimes get a bit... feel like claustrophobic.
Yeah. In Finland, it's easy to avoid people because it's really like... you can be very isolated if you want to.
What's sort of maybe been the most challenging thing, or some of the most challenging things about settling down in Tasmania, apart from the internet?
Like, it's maybe difficult because people here know each other very well and long time, so sometimes it may be difficult to go between. Say that there is a mothers group from school, and they all know each other because they all went to the same school or whatever. Yeah. And then it's really difficult to come as a new person, maybe. I mean, they're super friendly. I'm not saying that they are like unfriendly or anything, but it's difficult to like make real friends maybe with the people who are from here. And also maybe my job is not as easy to do here as it was in Finland, because of course Tasmania is a small place, so there are not as many opportunities. So that has been a bit challenging.
So you're working here in your profession?
I'm working at the university as a lecturer, but not really as a researcher. Okay.
Yeah. Is that full-time position?
No, part-time.
Yep. So
and it's like always, I have to renew it every... Yeah. It's like I have lots of people that I know and lots of people that I like to chat with, but I don't have like much like deeper connection with many people. So it's like it's more like a small talk level connection.
People here, for example, when they say, how are you? It's not a really serious question. It's more like a greeting, and they're not really that interested. But in other cultures, it is. Yeah, what's it like in Finland?
Yeah, definitely. So if you would ask me in Finland, how are you, I would start to explaining you like, yeah, so I was sleeping a bit badly, and then this happened and this the other thing. So there we are more like maybe, I don't know, like fact-based, talking like talking about the topic. Like if you have something to say it, but otherwise don't bother. Yeah. And it's not because we are rude or like unpolite. It's like more, it's considered polite there to not to bother people if you don't have anything real to say, I guess.
Personally, I really like that because I find it, maybe my temperament is better suited to somewhere like Finland than here.
But I can also understand the other side, because it makes me feel good if somebody is asking me how I am.
Yeah.
It still makes me happy. Like, oh, thanks for asking. Like, it makes me happy, although I know that it's just to be polite, but still. Yeah, I have noticed that here I'm way too blunt. I have been working as a project manager sometimes, and I write my mail like, hello, could you please do this? Cheers. Then I realized that I have to start like, hello, how are you? I hope you had a great weekend. And then go to the topic. And I still do it sometimes when I pump to some person that I have something to ask. It's just like, hello, I had to ask you one thing. And then they're like, and it's nice because I understand that that's how the society work here. So that's perfectly fine. It's just like sometimes I like to know, like, if you have something to say, please say it, because otherwise I don't know what you mean. I really don't understand the hidden meanings.
Yeah, sometimes those kind of things are about assumed cultural understanding, and if you're not from, you don't have those connections.
Yes.
It's not just about language, as you say. We went over to Finland. We probably have the same. Yeah,
probably would think that everybody's super rude and. And even with my husband, who is not from Finland, so it's like. In Finland, it's really unpolite to interrupt anybody if you are talking, so you wait that the other person stops and then you say your things. In Catalonia, it's like the opposite. You are supposed to speak over the other person, otherwise they think that you are not interested.
Oh, okay.
So there I'm just waiting until the other person stops and they never stop, so it's like...
Yeah, right.
Then I realized that maybe I need to speak at some point because otherwise...
That's really interesting. So that's maybe why people think Finns are so introverted.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably true. They are also introvert. They enjoy being alone. Actually, I think they have been enjoying this isolation time now very much.
Yes.
But
from what I know, Finland's done quite well in regards to...
Yeah, because it's like culturally very easy to be isolated and they're actually quite happy with that. So. Yeah, well, one thing is that here people like to ring to each other a lot. Like everything you want to clear, you have to call with your phone. In Finland, nobody calls to anybody. You always text or you use the internet app or whatever, but you don't ever call, like unless it's like a old person who wants to clear out something. Okay,
well that sort of fits with the whole introvert mentality.
It does, yeah. And here I have been struggling because I'm not used to calling people and I'm always freaking out when I have to make the phone call, but now I'm getting used to it. So. Maybe other cultural thing, well, of course, in school you have to prepare the lunch boxes, which is really weird for me because in Finland you get the lunch from school.
Okay, yeah.
And sandwich is not a lunch in Finland. That would be your afternoon snack or something.
Okay.
You would get like a real warm meal in school. And then, everybody's driving a lot here, I guess. I mean, I understand the distances are far, but even in Hobart, like it's very small, and we try to bike and run and do things, but it's sometimes a bit dangerous because there are so many cars.
Has there been anything that's maybe been surprising or that you hadn't thought of?
Well, I guess the sense of community I hadn't thought of. Like I knew that Australians are much more like open than Finnish, but I guess I was a bit surprised in a positive way how easy it's to meet people. As I said before, that you always pump up to people that you have just met and all that. And it's, I guess, in good and bad, like you need to know people to get into places, but when you know the people, it's easy.
Yeah. I think that's quite an important thing to know about Tasmania is that a lot of things work on the basis of informal relationships.
I know this because, when I came here and I started to look for a job, not until I made the first connection I could find anything. So it's not like in Finland you would be based on your CV. This person knows this and this and this. Here it's more like, who do you know?
Absolutely. Because most of the employers are small and don't have time to look at 100 CVs.
Yes, I have noticed that, and I guess that's also the cultural difference that I had to realize, because in Finland I wouldn't dare to use my connections because I would feel that I'm cheating or something. Of course, somebody could tell me that there is this opportunity, but if I would go there and mention by the way, I know this person here, I would feel like I'm trying to get in the wrong way.
Okay.
And here it's the opposite. Here you have to do it and that's why maybe in the beginning I was too shy to talk to people about that.
Have you noticed much difference in the kind of activities that kids would do at school here compared to Finland?
It's hard because my son is just in prep, so it's
Okay.
not yet like a real studying. I mean, it's real studying, but like it's still the early years, I guess.
Yep.
And in Finland, you wouldn't start until much later. Because when we start at 7, maybe it's more like school, like 10, that you start learning, like you have these subjects and then you are learning all the time. And they're here, I think they're mostly playing and then learning on the side, which is, I think it's great. It's really good for the imagination and creativity and all that. And they are doing lots of crafting here and painting, and they have so many supplies at school, which is really, really nice. I think they are really encouraging them to be like creative and making lots of art. So I like that. It's hard to say because I haven't been in school in Finland now. Maybe it's different too when I was. But there I guess we did lots of sport in school.
Okay.
Not only because that was the small school. I think in every school you have lots of sports.
But what kind of sports are then popular at school in Finland?
Basically anything that you can play in a big group, like soccer or the Finnish version of baseball or skiing or skating.
What's the Finnish version of baseball? Never heard of this.
Yeah, it's like baseball, but a bit different. Like it's just different rules, I guess, and the bat is a bit different. But it's a good school sport because it's easy to get involved. Lots of kids.
What advice do you think you could give, say, to another Finnish person who might be thinking of coming to Tasmania? What do you think would be important for them to know before coming here?
Have an open mind. Enjoy, because it's a beautiful island. And you can get to sauna in Bruny Island. I think that's the important part.
So maybe you could tell me a bit about the tradition of that, because I know that there's particular traditional things you do for the sauna.
I mean, many cultures have saunas, but I'm talking now about the Finnish sauna. So there are different cultures, obviously, even inside Finland. But traditionally, I guess the families, everybody has a sauna. Like even if you live in an apartment, you have a sauna usually. If not in your apartment, but then at least the whole building has one sauna that you can book once a week or something.
Okay.
So it's really important part of the culture. My dad has 2 saunas, although he only uses one at the moment. And it's by the lake, his sauna, and it's really beautiful. You go there and so traditionally like families go together. You spend their time, you talk. Sometimes you go outside to have some fresh air. If you have a lake, you go to swim. If it's winter, you may make a hole in the ice and go to dip in the...
Oh, right.
Yeah. Many people say that it's very healthy. It's a bit cold for me, but yeah, I have done it a couple of times, and it feels really good afterwards. But it's not something that I would do just because.
So the saunas, it's kind of a bit of a social.
It's a social
thing as well,
and it's kind of it's for washing, because before people didn't have showers or baths, so they had the sauna.
Yeah.
That was where you got clean, and it's also like the social thing. So often people say that Finnish male especially, they don't talk, but in sauna they talk.
Okay.
So they spend their hours and hours and they talk about life, and so they open up there. So it's
so it's sort of an important cultural tradition in a way.
Yeah, and it's like also like all the swimming pools have saunas. Another cultural difference here, because in Finland you would probably go to the swimming pool mainly for the sauna and the spa, but here it's more like swimming. And I don't know if you want. Maybe you don't want to have this in your podcast, but I think it's good it gives you a healthy image of like different body types, because in swimming pool you see like lots of different women in the same sauna, and you don't get like weird ideas of you should look like somebody in Instagram or something.
Okay.
But here I think, because I have been now going with my son to the swimming pool, and here everybody is really like shy and they go to dress themselves in the different places, and it's
people are more self-conscious about their body. Maybe
I think it's like it's a healthy thing to see different kind of people, different ages, because then it's like normal.